Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani Show. I am your host, Shani, and I do apologize for the delay. I can't even blame the Wi-Fi, y'all. It's probably the Wi-Fi. It's probably the computer. I'm on my laptop. I'm giving you a close-up face today. Mika, yo, I need that shirt in my life. I
You
like
got
that
it.
shirt. I like
You
that
got
shirt. Mika is in the building. Reverend Leland Core is in the building. We are excited. We're gonna kick off this first Monday in March with the Sharing with Shani show that highlights ordinary people working for an extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. And so, Mika, how are you
it.
today?
I'm okay. Like I have no complaints. I'm okay. Like I'm gonna take it.
That's awesome. How was your week?
Yeah. My week my week was actually very productive, which felt nice because usually I just feel busy, but it was very productive. And the weekend, I think that was just crazy. But I was actually glad that it was Monday. Isn't that weird? But I know most people are like, what? I was glad that it was Monday because I felt like I worked harder this weekend than I normally do during the week. So I was looking forward to Monday.
Okay, cool. I mean, my week was good. So I don't know if I shared, but I'm headed to the White Privilege Conference on Wednesday. I'm doing a
Okay.
breakout, and like this is like literally been on my vision board for not. I don't really do vision boards. It's been on my like a list. Like I need to be there, right? Ever since I started working on the book, right? I was like, I need to be there, and I'm headed there. And now it's like, we've talked about this on the show many of times, but now like when your prayers have been answered, like what do you do with that? Like I'm holding like
Ah, right.
I'm like excited, but then I'm like, okay, God, like
Hmm.
don't God don't fail me now.
I hear you.
Right. So
Hear you. My prayers are answered. What next? I feel a book.
right. Yes, exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
real thing though.
It is.
Well, are you like prepared for the conference? Like you feel like you all ready?
I definitely feel like I'm prepared, right? Like, I mean, I don't think you could practice your talk more. Well, you could overdo it and then second guess everything, right?
Okay.
But I got my strong hour. I wanted to do about 45 minutes of like kind of talking, teaching, and then
Mm-hmm.
save the rest of the time for kind of like some question Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
I am an improvisational speaker, so I love the Q&A part of it because hence the Sharing with Shani show, right? So I want to tap into what is my strength and my strengths, and my strength is on the fly conversation. Like I know that, right?
Okay.
In the moment, let the spirit take over, and so I think I'm prepared.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
asking.
where is it?
It's in Charlotte.
Okay. You flying or driving?
Fly.
Fancy.
Yeah, fancy. Well, fancy, and it was much cheaper to fly than to drive, though.
That's good.
Yeah.
These gas prices is not playing right now.
Right. So that means a rental car, like, no, it's like, so.
Yeah. Enjoy, and I'm sure you'll fill us in the following Monday.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
So what is the wellness whisper for tonight?
Listen, this is not the time to be wasting time.
Oh, I like that.
Y'all got to get on it. The world is not stopping for us. The world is changing. Things are happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did Jesus say when his parents came to look for him? I was about my father's business.
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah. This is not the time to be wasting time. Where I've noticed, a lot. Slow down. Very observant person. But aside from that, I'm also a therapist. And so that gives me a lot of inside information on people in general. And I think a lot of people are feeling at this moment, they're feeling, I'm going to throw out some words like dejected, discouraged, not motivated, stuck, anxious, angst. And they just kind of want to burrow into, a particular comfort, right? Like right now, they just want to be comfortable because things feel hard. They feel very challenging. They might even feel like hopeless. We might be questioning faith. We might be going, all right, what in the world is happening? And what that leads to or can lead to, because everybody is different, but what I've been seeing and noticing is that is leading us to kind of just like curl up on the couch and chill, like, I'm gonna sit this one out.
Right.
This ain't time for that.
Right.
It's not time for that. This is a time for action. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers. It doesn't mean that you know all the moves to make, but it means you need to get in action. So the whisper for today is, this is not the time to be wasting time.
This is not the time to be wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, I was just thinking about that. I was trying to figure out, I preach on Sunday, which is going to be interesting, being at this conference all week till Saturday morning. And then, but I was just thinking about, like, what is God asking of us and requiring of us, 2 years after we, like that shutdown for people that believe should have been a time of like preparation, right? A time to get things, like we had time to like commune, we had time to rest, we had time to like, but what was God saying to you during that time? Because it shouldn't have been like you didn't hear a word, right? Like one of the things, one of the songs that we've been at my church that's been a constant within this whole pandemic life was we need to hear from you, We need to hear from you. We need a word from you. If we don't hear from you, what will we do? Right? Old song, Andre Crouch song, but I don't know why it's like it has stayed in my spirit, because I feel like it's like right on time with your whisper. It's like it's time. Now it's time to go do.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Can I ask what are you snacking on? Maybe because I'm hungry.
I know, it's so good. I'm sorry. Am I being rude?
No, you're being healthy.
I have grapes.
Grapes? What? They're like, are they black or are they just red grapes? Purple grapes. Okay.
I was really thirsty. And I knew I was gonna be on the show for an hour, and I was just like, I need to hydrate. And I feel like popping grapes was better than just like continuously slurping. But also I do feel like I've reached the point where I needed an interstitial form of hydration, because the water and the juice just wasn't working. So I needed
Mika with the SAT words. Bringing it back. Rewind that back. Say that again. Definition, please.
In between the cells, on a cellular level.
Thank you. Like I'm about to give you my crown. They call me word girl in my family, but like you be like, what's your IG show title name?
Ethereal people.
Ethereal people, exactly. be coming out the woodwork with the daggone SAT words, but that's why I love you, because
I have that title in my family too. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. It is now is not the time to be wasting time.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to thank you for watching. Dawn, thank you for watching. Annette, thank you for watching. Nikki, thank you for watching. So I'm gonna introduce our guest right now. We're just gonna get right into it. Elder Reverend Leland Core is a devoted leader who has served in corporate America and the Baptist Church with different leadership positions, certified NLP practitioner, a coach, certified mental health coach. He led the Mount Jezreel Baptist Church prison ministry for 7 years, taught as an assistant pastor for the prison ministry, where he preached, taught, and provided goal-setting exercises, job interview techniques, and life skills for inmates. His website is lelandcore.org. We'll put that in the chat. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome Reverend Leland Core to the show tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. I am well. I'm excited about being here with you. And I've been kind of watching from the background since we last talked, and I've been keeping up with some of the shows. So it's pretty exciting, and I'm happy to be here again.
Well, thank you. So I know this is not your official announcement, and this would be the first time like we've ever had like a political candidate on the show. But I always feel like, this is a show to educate people and the intersectionalities of faith and justice and service. And so Reverend Leland, what brings you on the Sharing with Shani show tonight?
As we talked earlier, I think one of the things that's the outreach that you have in your show, that the people that you touch, I thought that it was important that people hear my message, understand as they begin to hear my name, they understand what I'm about, and more importantly, what change I want to bring into the atmosphere through God.
And so you are running for DC mayor, is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. And so why as a faith leader, because you said right before we came on, you was like, I am not a politician. So so why are you throwing your hat into politics?
So again, I'm unapologetic, not a politician. But when you look at history and you look at me living all over the United States, I've had responsibility all the way down to the Mexican border, as far west as California, and all throughout California, far as northeast up into Connecticut, and deep down into the Florida Keys. So I've worked with so many walks of life and have changed so many people. So when I came back home after traveling all over the US, and I started looking at the condition of the district, and I started looking at the problems, one, the murder rate, the educational, I think the educational problems that's in the school system, hint, no kid left behind. And then some of the things I began to hear, I became very grieved. And so with that, I've had some friends come to me for years saying, you need to run for councilman, you need to run for councilman, they need your leadership. And so for me, it's a godly leadership. And I think it's time for the people of faith to stand up and what God said needs to happen. And I believe if more people that are in the word stand up on the word, then God can begin to fix the atmosphere. This atmosphere in this country is really, really broken. And so when I went to him, because I've always talked to him about no more Martin Luther King, and he screamed back in my spirit. He said, I've given you everything you need to do, so you stand up and proclaim my glory. And that's what I'm doing.
So basically, you came right on time with Mika's whisper of now is not the time to be wasting time, right? Because, I love that, when we talked a few months ago, I said, what a lot of people probably don't understand, maybe people my age and up, Mika, because even though she's much younger than me, but she's like, she's a genius. But a lot of people don't realize how, in terms of our civil rights, our culture, Black culture,
yes,
politics was part of the church, right? Like,
yes.
Policies were made, and
it had to be.
It had to be, absolutely. That's where meetings were held. That's where we galvanized and became very much involved in our political fight, because W.E.B. Du Bois has said that Black people, well, he used the word Negro at the time, everything that the Black person that the Negro does, I'll quote him exactly, is political, right? And so I think a lot of times we don't show up to vote because we don't think that our vote matters. But I'm trying to tell you, we fighting for voting rights in a lot of states because our vote does matter. And I think it's important that we all exercise that right, because it's necessary. It's necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's amazing what you just said. There's so many people that have tried to shun me behind church and state. And then when I give them a history lesson of what you just said, that corporations used to go to the church for their guidance and understanding. And, it's amazing. Like someone said the other day to me, because I had my collar that I went in, I didn't say, are you mixing church and state? I said, well, they've already mixed it because the event is inside of St. Luke's Catholic Church. So at the end of the day, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to show up with the love of the Lord, but also I'm coming to set people free. I'm just, at the end of the day, when I made the announcement, I said, I feel like Moses, right? And I said, one of the other things I said, though, God laid in my heart, I said, now I understand Martin Luther King's mountaintop experience. I get it now to its totality. And it just, he did something to me that night when I was in prayer. God did. And I got to tell you, there's a desire to burn inside of me that I can't even explain fully, but I just know it's from him.
Amen. I think, it's also very, when you talk about the separation of church and state, and, you
Mhm.
talk about how like churches can't, they can't appear to be political because,
Correct.
they will lose some type, their tax status, right? But,
501.
that was, if we want to go back, because you got to go, you have to know the genesis of a thing, right? And that was created after, the civil rights movement, like around the 70s, where
Yes.
the government knew how critical the church would play. And so they put this, so they dangled this idea of, look, become a 501c3, because up until like 1972, that wasn't even a thing, right?
Absolutely.
But then they said,
Absolutely.
let's dangle this what appears to be, a saving
Yeah.
grace. And it was a saving grace for a lot of, especially urban churches that may have found themselves declining in membership and, whatever reason. But I think it's, but there are also, we have to educate ourselves to know what we can do within the constructs of the law, and then do just that, because people need to be educated and people need to know all of their options. There's options. So what is your mandate, or what are you what I guess what are you campaigning on? What is the fundamental essence of your campaign, Reverend Leland?
So that's a great question. So I'm going to give you, so coming out of corporate America, and I spent 20 plus years working for Comcast. So I'm very statistically driven. But what I will say is this, and then I'll tell you what my pillars are. 38% of Black Native people are below the poverty line. 36% of them are riding right at the poverty line. And so if you look at that number in its totality, that in itself, and the lack of education is not the real reason. There's a lot of programs in the district that are just not being communicated, right? And so we find ourselves destituted, and we find ourselves in a place where we have been pulled away from what we call our purpose. So if you allow people back purpose, then that gives them hope. And that's my theme, right? But at the same time, I spent 10 years also in manufacturing and engineering. And I used to build large frame computers. And I also was involved in a project where we worked on the Navy submarine. So we worked on the electronics. So I got a very in-depth engineering background when it comes to electronics. We're building buildings all over the district, and we're increasing the rent rates where people can't afford it. I want to take those buildings and bring industry into the district that will give people careers, right? Versus that, and there's nothing wrong with working at a fast food restaurant, but when a person starts to elevate their mind, you have to have something for them to do. And so our people have been just desecrated for so long, and they've taken all the opportunities out of the neighborhoods, right? So if you think about it, they removed the neighbor, right, and left the hood, right? So that's why the community looks the way they do, right? And that's why the decree of it. So my pillars are real simple: transparency, right? Hold some folks accountable, right? Education, economics, and health, right? Those are the things that I want to rebuild. Is my theme, is rebuilding a new Washington, D.C. for everyone, right? I'm unapologetically not afraid to talk about what is going wrong in the Black community. I did it Saturday, right? And I went there because everybody everything is for everyone, but people of color need additional type of help. And we got to give it to them. The Latinos come here, they have everything in place to help them. But everybody seems to be afraid to reach out to Black people, right? And do something for them. I'm not the guy for that. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to help everyone, but I know my people need additional help, and I'm going to give them that help.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So when you said on Saturday, so how did it feel doing your first political debate?
So it for me, it was an experience, and it was really nice. But what it did also too for me is it allowed me to see the landscape of what's been going on in the district, the good, the not so good, and the ugly, right? But it helped develop me of what I need to do in order to get things in place. So at the end of the day, it was great, but it definitely I had some squirrels running around in my stomach for a little while, because again, that was the first time. And I didn't know which way they was gonna go. But as I settled myself down, I began to, just spit out what needed to come out. So when I walked in the church, I said, Lord, okay, I can't do this without you.
Right.
And he showed up.
Absolutely, always does when you call them. All you gotta do is call. So I know that, I am fully aware that campaigns take they take resources and money and time. So how would people be able to support your cause and volunteer if they need to? Because I'm sure you are going to need, you're in a field with the incumbent mayor that has been in office for 2 terms. A entertainer, I think, joined the field, and then yourself, and I don't know who else is running, but you will definitely need some support. So how would people be able to support you?
So they can go out to our website, or either all of our handles are the same. It's core, the number 4, dcmayor.com, or they can go to core for DC Mayor on YouTube, Instagram, or either Twitter, and they can reach out to us. And we are putting the donate button up on the website this week. And so they can actually volunteer. They can click on it, they can volunteer, they can send us an email. Someone will get back with them within 24 hours if they send an email over to us. But I do recognize that it's going to take a lot in order to fund the vision that God has given me. But I haven't given up on God, and I understand that He's going to bring it. And I've actually had some corporations that have already said that we'll be.
So you're a man of faith, Reverend Leland. And so, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I was about to say, no, I was getting ready to argue with the Holy Spirit, right? Because the Holy Spirit just told me something to say. And I was like, no, that sounds corny. But Jesus built his team, right? And so, he built his team of 12, and they all had different gifts. So I need you to tell the people what you need. What you need? Do you need somebody that knows budgets? Do you need somebody, because somebody is going to listen now or on the replay, and they have a gift that you need. So I just feel like in this season, I'm like the network. I'm a networker.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's great that you asked that. So I would like to have someone that has the budgetorial experience over the campaign, because it's a little different than the corporate budgets that I ran. And I found that out. So I would like to have someone there. And I think the other thing is that if people believe in the vision that God has given me, volunteers, because we're going to need a lot of them. Because what I'm going to do, the way we're going to approach the city, because they asked the question, sorry, they say, well, no one's really heard of you yet. And I just looked at them and I said, that's been strategic also. And what my plan is to begin within 2 weeks to blanket the entire city. So we're going to need volunteers out there to help us to get the message out. And then the other thing is I want to look at people that have marketing background. Okay. Because my background is engineering, and I am not a marketing person, right? But I want to have someone, if someone wants to help us with it, if they want to call me and talk to me and ask me, what is it I think we need from a marketing standpoint, I have no problem in taking the time and talk to them, go and meet with them over a cup of coffee or whatever they want. Even I'll feed them, right? So it's important, it's imperative that we have the right people on the team. We're starting to assemble the right team now. And it's just amazing that every time I go to ask God something about this, he is delivering. So as I begin to look at the landscape and understand that landscape, and when I go to him, I say, Daddy, it's me again, right? This is where we are. This is what I need. It just goes up. And so, you know, if anyone feel the need to, because we got a lot we're going to do around education, and my biggest thing is to deal with the violence.
You said the violence?
I'm excited.
Yes, ma'am. The violence, the gun violence.
Yes.
So we're going to deal with violence now. So, you know, Shani, we did last October, we did a motorcycle ride of peace, right? We started at my starting point on Good Hope Road at the Murphy's Auto Body Shop. And we rode. This time we're going to start, and I'm building the path now. We're going to start back at Murphy's, but we're going to build a path through DC, and we're going to end up at RFK, right? And what that's geared around is my theme is to get males out there, to begin to communicate to them of what we should be doing to go get, everybody got a Ray Ray in their family, to go get the Ray Rays and get them cleaned up. Here's what I'll tell you, Shani. Every young adult we've talked to, every one of them don't want the life that they have.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I wholeheartedly believe this. I think there are some psychologists and sociologists and a lot more qualified people that could back me up on this. But when you address your poverty issue, you will address your crime issue.
There
Period.
you go. There you go. And
it
that's
is
my
connected.
formula.
It is connected.
You just connected the formula. That's my formula. If you look at what I put together, the poverty rate is what we're going to attack. Because when you talk to these kids, they have a heart of gold, but they're in a situation where they're faced, you know, some of them don't have a parent. Some have a parent that's might as well not be a parent. But when you look at the poverty rate, across what's 8 and 7, and you get into 6 and 5, when you start looking at that, for me, it's no secret of what's really going on, right? And so you're absolutely right. The poverty rate will begin to fix a lot of.
I don't know if either one of you have seen the new Matrix movie, but there is a line in there where Niobe, played by Jada Pinkett, she says nothing breeds violence like scarcity. And that is such a true statement, right?
Yes.
Like that's quotable right there. And when she said that, like I remember having all types of feelings, you know, because it's true. It's really true. And it's strategic. And I feel like the more we can recognize that, the more at least I believe that we would want to be empowered to, you know, take some form of action. I know a lot of times people may feel like, well, I don't know what to do, where to go, how to start, how to begin. And you know, a lot of times people say like when you want better, when you know better, you do better. But that's not necessarily true. I think
Right.
it starts with the want, right? Like I want to do better. I may not know better yet.
Right.
I may not know where to start yet, but just when that desire is there, I also feel like that's the Holy Spirit, right? When that desire is there, that's your prompt, you know, to now seek action. Now we start seeking, you know, we start asking questions. And I think also because specifically, I don't say people of color and I don't say minorities. I do think that this is specifically a Black issue and a Black and America issue for our people.
Yeah.
We have been ridiculed and, you know, made fun of, embarrassed.
Yeah.
We have a sense of pride that doesn't need to exist, right? We lost them. We are afraid to not afraid, but I think pride gets in the way. We get embarrassed to ask for help. We've been made to feel like we're less than because we ask for help. There is, like we get shunned. We're shined in a different light when we ask for help, but everyone else is encouraged, right? Reach out to your city council and talk to your senator. And but when we do it, there's like a whole different, there's just such a stigma around that. And I remember even growing up, the pride that exists in the Black American community, we need to let some of that go.
Mhm.
It is
Absolutely.
not a weakness to ask for help. The strength is to understand when to ask for help. There's such a pride that like your whole family goes down because you just like, I'm not asking nobody for nothing. They could see that I need it, and if they wanted to help, they would have helped. And like that's a mindset I think we could
Right.
really just benefit from if we let that go for real. And I know
Yeah.
it's easier said than done, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think specifically within our community, when we ask for help, it's it's accompanied with this, just feeling of shame mostly. And it's so hard for us to ask for help that, I've just watching it, you're just watching the effects of that. It's heartbreaking.
Right.
And I hate it. Like I don't like it. So in raising my daughter, I tell her all the time, you don't need to beg, right? It's not begging. I know when she gets older, she's probably gonna have a lot to say about me because I just be trying to like shove right generations of things that I want her to break, right? Like I'm breaking it. I want her to just run the other way from it, but I also want her to be able to enjoy her life. But I'm very intentional about vocabulary, right? And the narrative that I present to her because I want her to completely understand advocating for yourself is powerful, right? Asking
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
help is powerful. Educating yourself is powerful. And that education doesn't have to come in a school system. You educate yourself for yourself. You don't have to rely on anybody else for your education. Everything you need to educate yourself is absolutely right here at your fingertips. The library is free. Okay.
Yes.
So we can do this. And I think this panel that I was in last month, we were kind of teetering back and forth on this, but the black dentist that was on the call, I was saying that something that empowers people, I think, is avocation, and he was saying education. And at first, I challenged him, but I love his gentle rebuttal for that. He was just saying it really is education because if I'm not educated enough to know that I can advocate for myself, I won't.
Correct. Correct.
And that is the story of the masses. Now I'm gonna just, caveat that with saying I've always been a rebel. I never needed anybody's permission. So whether I knew I had the permission to do it or not, I was just gonna do it
Correct.
because if something didn't feel right within my soul, and I'm talking very early, my mom can attest to that. If something didn't feel right, I was just like, listen, Tracy ain't telling me I could do it or not to do it, but this don't feel right. So we're gonna talk about this. you
Yeah.
Right.
know? But I do feel like for the general population, yeah, if they don't know that they can advocate for themselves, especially when we're talking about policies and things like that, that is still an area where we are underrepresented and we are also uninterested.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
uninterested. It feels like too much. It feels like a headache. It feels like it's boring. It feels like so much that we don't want to do that we
Right.
avoid it, myself
Yeah.
Right.
included, for a long time.
Yeah.
But we need
And
to
I
shift
think if
there.
exactly, and I think if we understood the intersectionalities
Yes.
of all of this,
Mhm.
we would be more excited about it or more interested about it,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we've been conditioned to only be in survival mode. And
Yes.
and we've been in survival mode for so long and for so many generations that
Yeah.
thriving doesn't we don't know how to thrive. And
It
Yeah.
feels
thrive
foreign.
and what come and thriving by thriving, that's when you care about things that might happen 10 years from now. But
Yes.
why would you care about something 10 years from now if you can't even eat today?
Correct.
There you go. Yeah.
Correct. So that
yeah, go ahead.
no, that's my point of the people. So I just want to go back to two things that was said earlier. I preached a message, and it's one of my favorites. It's entitled "Pride: Destroy It Before It Destroys You." Right.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the crazy things that goes on in our community, so 87% of services and goods are owned by whites. So that leaves 13% on the table, right? If we don't begin to have some type of unity, and my concern is this: when a Black household gets money, it stays in that household for 6 hours. So that means by the time they get a direct deposit, that money is gone. In the white communities, it's 27 days. It's 19 days. In the Latino community, it's 15 days. In the Asian community, it's 25 days. So they have this money cycling, right? They're constantly making themselves rich, hand over fist. And we're pouring, we spend 14 billion a year as a race.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pouring it into everybody other than ourselves. And my number one thing is, you listen to what I stand for, is unity. One of the things that we have to bring into the Black community, we have to get unity in the Black community. If we don't do that, we might as well just pack it up and go. And that's how they have taken advantage of us so long. They've kept us separated. A house divided will not stand. And they've kept us separated and divided for so many years that it's totally has destroyed us. And when we start talking unity and start coming together, then people will become to be concerned. I was, even in corporate America, I used to get kind of looked at kind of crazy because I would talk about, the lack of unity in the Black communities. Now I'm sitting in a white boardroom talking about, Black unity, but I have, at one point in one of my roles, I had, 600 plus technicians in the field, along with the managers and the directors. So I couldn't scurve around it. And then as people understood that this is about everyone. And so, there's some things that we have to do, and unapologetically, that's why I say I'm not a politician. I'm going to stand up and be a leader and do what's right for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting.
I am very excited. Again, Reverend Leland, this conversation, you could talk about this, I guess, anytime, any given day, not just Sundays or Saturdays. When is the next? Are you doing any town halls where people can get to know you and ask, questions that pertain to them and their self-interest? Like, will you be doing any of that? Any type of spot, pop-ups or anything like that? Okay, this is another download. I feel like, you gotta get that senior in high school that's on social media, this gonna be their first election to vote. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the demographic that is always misunderstood, misrepresented, not thought about. But I'm gonna tell you right now, when the shooting in Parkland occurred, and they at the time they were 15, 16, and 17-year-olds that started, that became activists, right?
Okay.
They did everything in their power to make sure that the previous administration, I will just say it like that,
Okay.
did not get elected again.
Mm-hmm.
That 18 to 22 demographic, they're out here. They're on social media. They know, I don't know about marketing per se, what we know is marketing, but they definitely know social media marketing. And they have power. They have influence.
That is a truth. Yes.
They have influence. So, I mean, as you are forming your team, I think intergenerational is very important. That is how because you get voices at the table that are from every angle. And that's what I mean, that's what the kingdom of God looks like.
I agree. I totally agree. And it's actually a great point. And to your point on the town halls, I'll definitely shoot you an email, because
Okay.
we're going to start, and we're going to do some, if we can get into some of the elderlies, because that's one of my biggest focuses as well, right? The elderly. And so we want to get into these elderly homes if we can. If not, because of my background in telecom, we'll set up a smart TV in there, and then I'll do a broadcast from Zoom so that they can see me and hear me. And then we'll have maybe someone there that can help ask questions, so they can ask the questions back to me, and I can answer those questions for them. So we have to use technology to be creative, but at the same time, like what you just mentioned, it's important to reach. I've created this program, and we're waiting to get the logo trademark and the name patent. So it's called the Young G's, right? And that stands for Young Gurus, right? So the target is 17 to 26, right? And what I want to do with them is teach them business acumen. So, communication skills. Some may want to be engineers, some may want to be different sectors of business. But now they have understanding of what it is. Right now, I have 4 math teachers, guys that God has sent my way. These guys can teach algebra and trig, and they enjoy doing it. And they say they can teach it and make it fun, right? In the future, if you do not have math and science understanding, the way that the industry is going, you won't be able to get a job, because technology is taking over. And in order to be involved in technology, you need to understand math and science. You need to have some understanding about what makes robotics move. And I just happened to be in a situation where I was blessed. I spent 9 years working for Control Data Corporation back when they were building large mainframe computers. And then, like I said, I went to start working on submarines, right? So that was really cool, because I've always was good with my hands. I always did electronics. And the things that I've learned over my career, I want to be able to now pass that back down to young folks, right? And make it so, because everybody's not going to go to college.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're not. Where can people get in contact with you one more time?
So they can get in contact with me at Core, the CORE, the number 4, dcmayor.com. They can get me on social media at Core for DC Mayor at YouTube, Instagram, or either Twitter. We do have a number also, and that number is 240-91-PEACE. 240-91-PEACE. And I take all calls, all emails that will come in. We'll look at each and every one, and we will talk back to the families and the communities and the people that are outreach, or people that may want me to come out and speak and hear my views on what I think about what's going on in the city. They would be surprised to hear my thoughts on a lot of things. I'm gonna shut up about this. One of my things that I'm working on right now is the rodent control, right? So I have a whole different game plan to deal with the rodent population in the district.
I'm sure that right there is sparking interest.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So,
Nothing else did. You got some people like, huh?
Yeah. I don't think like most people. So when it comes to something, as they used to fuss at me at Comcast as we were launching all these networks and things, they's like, Leland, there you go once again, over engineering something. I said, but reason why I did that is because I know that I'm a Black male, and you've given me responsibility for millions and millions of dollars. And if I didn't do good with it, then the next person that walked in the door that looked like me, they might not have gotten an opportunity. So I had to always make sure that I was leading by example and doing, as we would say, the most, right? So that the launch will go off without a hitch, and the people will enjoy the services.
Mm-hmm.
So Annette said,
Okay.
I wanted to, oh, you were about to say that?
Yeah, go for
Annette
it.
said poverty in the Black community has been associated with shame by our own community, and it can also breed mental illness, i.e. depression and anxiety. So true. I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for.
When is election day?
So the actual physical date is November the 8th. There's a primary on June the 8th. So by that time, we should be a household name in the month of June. I'm sorry, June the 21st. So we should be a household name by that time.
Amen.
So come November, everybody should know me and know my face.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Reverend Leland Core for mayor of DC. He's running for mayor. Folks, check him out on his website. It is Core for Mayor, correct?
Core for DC Mayor.
DCMayor.com. Mika Fresh, always a pleasure. Meet Mika Fresh on all social media platforms. And I hope to be wearing that shirt in at least next Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll text you so I can get your size and color.
Okay. Oh, I get the big colors too.
Yeah,
so Mika, how do I get one of those?
Yes. Give me your information. I'll send it to you. We're in a soft launch, so this like I said, this is fresh off the press. 10 minutes before I log on, so I got you.
Oh, this is the Sharing with Shani Show, highlighting ordinary people working for an extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. We air every Monday night. If you didn't catch it now, please check out our the replay will be on our YouTube page in about 6 hours. Next week, next Monday, we will have special guests, Willie T. Montgomery Jr. Willie T. Montgomery Jr.
Has he been on the show before?
No, first time.
Okay. Sounds familiar.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. God bless you and peace.
Peace.
Good night.